Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick video to help you understand some of the intricacies of Roll20. This is just to kind of give you a basic look at it and how it works. So this is my interface here. Yours is going to look different because you're not a DM, but it should have some of the same options, so hopefully that translates okay. So first thing, when we get in here, we want to go to this cog here and set up a few things. Up at the top here, your display name, you want to change that to your character name and your real name in parentheses, just because I need to get used to who everyone is, and yeah, if I don't have the information, I'm going to be asking a lot. So that'll set that down here on the bottom of your screen. You also want to come down here to the bottom and set your avatar size to names only. There are a couple of choices, but you want names only. And down here, you want to make sure your broadcast and receive are both set to nothing. For some reason, by default, Roll20 tries to broadcast, so you want to turn those off because we will not be using those with Discord. All right, so moving on. You want to look for next your journal, which should look like this. If you click it, you won't have all the options that I have because you'll only be able to see a couple of things, but you should see your characters. So you want to find your character. So for instance, if you're this character, you click on it, and that will open your character. And now if you double click up here, it'll minimize it and it'll be a lot more manageable. So you just like move it down here, and then when you need to open it, just double click it again, comes up, double click it, goes away. So that makes that much more easy to manage. Next, the Compendium. If you need items, this is kind of where you get them. You should see this icon, the eye up at the top right. So if you click on that, it sort of opens this search window. So one thing, like for instance, you'll need torches for an adventure, because adventurers need to be able to see in the dark. Some of these people have torches already, but for example, this character does not. So I mean, you should have torches for this game because I believe I added them to everyone, but just as an example, you would type torch. You would see the torch come up, and you can click and drag it into your character and make sure it says that accepting drop from Compendium, release it, and it will put a torch in your inventory. Once it's there, you can change the number of torches you have. You can edit the name. And you don't have to worry about the weight. That should be added automatically, so yeah, you shouldn't have to worry about that. But yeah, now you got some torches. Other things in your inventory, it'll list them. If you want to get rid of something, you click on this lock to unlock, and you just click one of these garbage pails to delete. If you get treasure, which hopefully you'll find some, this is where your coins go, your platinum, gold, electrinium, silver, and copper. You can just click and edit those. And above that, kind of here's your macros. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Your HP total, your maximum and your current. You don't want to leave this alone because this one is just how your maximum, what your maximum can go to. As you take damage, you're going to edit this number here, which you can move up or down. And there's an easier way to do it. We'll discuss that later. Yeah, so that's the character sheet, or at least a quick overview. So to the map itself, if you look at these characters, I can see everything because I'm the DM, but for example, if you were Aether right now, you wouldn't see anything because you don't have a light source and you can't see in the dark. So during the adventure, if you want to use a torch, which you will probably have to, first you go to your inventory and you just change that 10 to a 9 to indicate that you've used a torch. Light it up, and in resources here, there's a torch, which you should see. You can click and drag that onto the battle mat. Now, your character will be able to see in a certain area around them. If you want to move with the torch, an easy way to do that, put the torch on top of yourself. I think it's right-click it, and you say to back, and it will put the torch behind you. Then if you click and drag, you can highlight both. And just to give you an idea, or maybe I can't, but if you click and drag, highlight both, you can move both around the environment. And now, for example, you look again, you'll see the torch is moved here, and through the other character's view, they can see the torch over there. So that's just a quick way of putting a torch on yourself and moving around. So let's do some battle real quick. Give you an idea of how that works. Let's see. So in the dangers of the dungeon, in the dark, many monstrosities lurk. For now, the adventurers have come upon some Minotaur skeletons who approach. So let's roll some initiative. Get some battle music first. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you this. In here, you can adjust your volume for the music. So if it's too loud, you can put it down. If it's not loud enough, you put it up. But in any case, we'll keep it low so you make sure you can all hear me. All right, so for initiative, this is a little bit annoying, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. When a fight starts, initiative determines the order that things happen. So as the Minotaur skeletons approach, our heroes ready themselves. We'll start with Aether. You click on your token. As your token is selected, you open up your sheet, and you find this initiative box. You'll see as I mouse over it, it lights up, and you click the button. And now, Aether has been added to the initiative. So once that's done, we'll go to Sean. Well, his character has not been named yet, but we'll click on his character once again. His initiative is a bit higher because he is more dexterous and quicker in combat. So we'll mouse over, click that, and Sean's initiative has been rolled. And just in case you're wondering, what it does for initiative is it rolls a d20 and it adds your initiative modifier, which in this case would be 3. And then it puts it on the list. So if we mouse over here, for example, 16 was rolled and 3 was added, giving a 19 to Sean. All right, so Gordy, let's get you up there. The wizard Gordy has rolled a 13. And now let's see how the enemy does. Where are you, enemy? Oh, don't look at any of these monsters. Anything about them. So the Minotaur skeleton rolls for initiative, and his group has gotten a 6, so they didn't do so well. Now let's order the initiatives, and Sean's character would be the first to act. I believe he is a bard, if I remember correctly. So a bard wants to generally stay out of the fray because they're not very good at taking hits. So he would probably say, Aether, get in front. Aether would be annoyed because there is no front. But Sean, seeing that there are some obstacles here, might run here, hoping that those obstacles shield him. So when you move, you can see that the speed of the character listed here is 30, and each of these squares generally is 5 feet. So in this instance, Sean can move up to 6 squares. So you would pick up the token, click and hold, and if you press Q, you can actually set a movement path. Every time you press Q, a dot will come up. You don't have to press all of them, but in this instance, like if he wanted to move here, that would be 15 feet. So he'd get here, he'd say, okay, this could be a good place to hold up, and that would be his movement. Now, he also has an action. So let's say for his action, he is going to use the spell Vicious Mockery, which can be seen under the spell tab of your sheet here. Usually also a macro has been generated here. So you would click on Vicious Mockery in the macro section, and it would display the info for it. So you rolled a 7, meaning that will deal 7 damage if the creature makes its save. So he casts Vicious Mockery at this guy. So that guy will attempt to save versus Wisdom, which he's not very good at. And he fails. So the Minotaur takes 7 damage. And the secondary effect of Vicious Mockery, you show the spell description, is that the creature is disheartened and takes the psychic damage, and next time it attacks, it will have disadvantage, which will mean that the creature is less likely to hit. So that was a pretty good turn for Sean. He's also got a bonus action, and this might seem complicated, but you get used to it. Each character basically has a move, an action, and a bonus action. And one of Sean's abilities as a bard is he can inspire. You have your list of abilities here, and one of them, I believe, is Bardic Inspiration. You click this thing, it'll put the description into the chat. You can also click on this to list it here. Click again to close. But basically, for the Inspire, one of your allies gets a plus 1d6 to a roll of their choice. So let's say he inspires Ether using his Bardic Inspiration, which would use one of the Bardic Inspirations. He has a total of 4, so he's down to 3. And Aether is inspired. So next, Gordy would go. Gordy's a wizard, and wizards are a little bit more complicated. They have spells. He's also not very strong in the front line, so he might also come here with, he also might come there. Looking around, he would probably want to hit the guy that's already taken damage in a hope to get rid of that guy. So he is going to look at his spells really quick and decide a Flaming Spear might be good for this this current situation, because Flaming Spears also kind of put an object on the battleground. Like this to list the spell. And Flaming Sphere would put an object on the battleground. A sphere of fire, which the enemy, if they walk through or try to get around, will take damage. So I think... And we can just use a torch to represent that, since it's a spell that makes light anyway. So he'll put a Flaming Sphere here, we'll say, or here, and that will immediately try to attack this guy. So Flaming Sphere, we click it, the sphere itself, I believe it'll roll. So it asks you what level you're casting at. You can cast spells at higher or lower, well, at higher level, but we're going to cast it at level 2. So since we used the spell, we're going to subtract a spell slot. There should be 3 as you start the day with 3, so he would go down to 2 now. And cast Flaming Sphere. So the sphere attacks this character here, and he must roll a dex save. Which he rolled pretty well, but not enough, so he takes 8 fire damage burned by the flaming circular thing that was put down by Gordy. And he takes a little bit of damage. Oh, I said I was going to attack this guy. That's fine. We split up the damage a little. So next, the Minotaurs would go. They're going to rush up at Ether, because he seems to be the easiest thing to hit. So they would all rush Aether, or Aether, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Luckily, Aether has a really high AC. He's heavily armored. He plants his shield down and readies for the assault as these three things take great axe swings at him. And all of them would miss, which is lucky because that's a lot of damage they rolled if they had hit. But yeah, 12, 13, and 12, so he just puts his shield up and blocks all three as they come in swinging. Alright, so Aether's turn. He's liking his position. He took 3 attacks and no damage, but he knows that if he gets unlucky, those 3 attacks would have been 40, 50 more damage than he has. He only has 49, so that would have put him down if he got hit 3 times. That would have killed him. So he doesn't like his odds of just standing here and attacking, so instead he's going to take the dodge action, which is an option anyone has. And what dodge does is it makes it so attacks against you are at disadvantage. So now if these guys keep attacking him, they won't actually do... Well, they'll get to attack, but they'll be at disadvantage. So you see these 2 numbers here. If you were at disadvantage, you automatically take the lower one. So for example, since none of those rolled the way I would have liked, say... Okay, good. This is a good example. So this is a 22. If you look at the right of the screen here. So that would have hit him, but because of disadvantage, it becomes an 8. So that misses. So Aether would have prevented a hit there for another 19 slashing. But anyway, so he took his dodge action. So now the allies would go again. I'm just going to cut to Gordy because he's going to do something cool here. He decides that this is not good. Aether is in danger. He's going to be overwhelmed. So on Gordy's turn, he's going to cast Fireball, a very powerful 3rd level spell. So he would subtract the spell, going down to 1 spell slot, and he would click Fireball, casting at level 3. So there is an explosion of flame. Gordy's going to target this area here. If you read the spell description, which again, show spell description, it basically makes an explosion of fire in a 20-foot radius. That's a really big explosion. So if he centered it here, it would hit all 3. And it would blow up here, but there's no one there. But it wouldn't go down far enough to hit him or his ally. Unfortunately, Aether would be in there. But luckily, Gordy is an evoker. And one of his abilities as an evoker is spell sculpting, which allows you to let certain people in the radius of your spell not be affected, equal to 1 plus the spell's level. So that would be 4 people, and there's only 1, so that's easy to do. So he could say, I exclude Aether from the blast. So the flames would explode out and engulf these 3, but as Aether sees the fire coming and goes, oh shit, Gordy, what did you do? Or, oh gods, Gordy, what did you do? And then suddenly the fire would come right up to him and just go around him, because Gordy has sculpted his spell. So the 3 of these guys are going to make some dex saving throws to try to dodge that fireball. And looks like 2 of them failed and 1 of them made it. So the 2 that failed immediately take 24 damage. Oh, and another neat thing, if you click on your token, this is the HP right here, you can click it and just hit minus 24, and that will automatically do the math for you. So you don't even have to worry about math. This blue is your AC, so you don't have to worry about that, but the green one is your HP. So this guy made his saving throw, but Fireball is a nasty spell and will still deal half damage. So he takes 12. And still got a pretty nasty chunk out of him, and that also wounded these guys. So they are at half health. So anyway, that was an example of combat starting. I know it might seem a little bit overwhelming because there is a lot to it, but a lot of the stuff you kind of pick up pretty quickly as you go. The main takeaways or character sheets, your macros, the things you click to do your attacks are here. And they are pretty easy. You just click on them and they'll roll for you over here. It'll roll twice. You use the first number. Unless you have advantage. If you have advantage, you use the higher number, whatever number that is. And if you have disadvantage, you use the lower number. That's why we roll twice. But if it's a normal roll, you just take the first one here. And if you're a spellcaster, like, we'll say, oh no, this is the Bard. Gordy here. So he has some of his spells and macros here, along with like his staff, I think, or his dagger. He has dagger here. But to cast spells, you just go to your spell thing. And at the beginning of the day, you should have your max number of spell slots. So 4, 3, and 2. You choose the spell you want to cast. So if you're casting a first level spell, you choose which one you want to cast, you minus the slot for it, then you just click the spell, and it'll do all that jazz over here. So hopefully this video is helpful. Of course, I'm here to answer any questions, but this kind of gives you an idea of some of the controls. And yeah, if you have any other questions, just let me know. I'll see you at game time.